Hello, everyone. It's me, Aridos Nikolon Rashid. I'm your anthropologist and sociologist. I'm here with another live stream. Thanks for being here. I'll be addressing a topic not often discussed by believers. And it's like an elephant in the room. And that is the fact that human beings tend to crave for control at others' expense. And somewhere we believe we have a right to do so. And I'm showing you in this live stream, no, we don't at all. But again, subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, share this live stream, share the rest of my videos also. Please give some donations. It will help my ministry to keep things going. Thank you very much. You can donate through PayPal or through Revolut. It's up to you. Add the links down below. And also, I'm writing novels also, so feel free to purchase some of those novels. It's also support. Thank you very much. But in this live stream, I want to talk about a portion of ancient history that's also documented in the Bible. And I'm going to explain something to you that's still happening today and how we can recognize it. But before I continue, I want you to let me know if you can hear me clearly. Hold on. I have the live chat over here. I might have to, let me see. Maybe I should go to YouTube. Yesterday when I did a live stream, the live chat did not work for some reason. So I hope this time things are a bit better. Go like this. So let me see. I'll go to my own channel to see. Okay. So the sound's working perfectly fine. It's just a live chat, that's the issue. Well, anyway, I can check that later on, but anyway, the sound as well. I'm about to share my screen with you also. So, point by the way, I have a new email address. As you can see right over here. If any questions, you can email that email to. The other email I'm also using, but this one is easier to remember, so check that one out. All right, about to share my screen with you now. Hold on. My screen. Okay. There it is. Okay, that's good. Can you all see the screen? Let me know in the live chat, please. Meanwhile, hold on. Putting on my other computer too. Just 1 second, guys. I put it on my other computer over here too, on the other screen, so I can follow the live chat with you in a much easier fashion. All right. You'll get to why I'm talking about this time period in history. No problem. All right. So the Neo-Assyrian Empire, or also known as the Assyrian Empire, it was called Mat Assur also. And this empire existed in ancient times. It succeeded the Egyptian Empire, which was dominant back then. Egypt was dominant for a long time, though to the Exodus under Moses, it declined, and over time, the world power became Assyria. Now, back then, the world's population was concentrated in specific locations. Okay, so it's not that the Assyrian Empire dominated entire land masses all over the earth. That's not the case. It's that the main financial and economic structures in the world were dominated and governed by the Assyrians. That's why it was a world power. And let me show it over here. So you had Ashur. Where's Ashur? Where's that city? Yeah, you had Ashur, you had Nineveh. Nineveh is somewhere, where is it? Nineveh is over here. It was a capital for a long time. And as you see, Ashur or Assyria began over here, became bigger, and eventually they had an empire like this. Aram is how they used to call Syria in ancient times. So Assur is Assyria, Aram is ancient Syria. Now, one thing you need to understand about the Assyrian Empire, and that is that it relied on extortion. That was a big portion how they governed this power structure. Now, there were raids into Egypt, and Egypt, at least in a financial way, became subjected to the Assyrian Empire, even though the Assyrians didn't actually fully take over Egypt. So you had the direct territory, like you see over here, and you had the financial dependencies outside of it. Now, one big side effect of the extortion of the Assyrian Empire, you can read about it even in the Bible, in the book of Isaiah, how one of the emperors of Assyria threatened the kingdom of Judah and intimidated them. And as you know, the Heavenly Father, through the prophet Isaiah, delivered the Judeans from the tyranny. And Jonah, also another prophet, ended up shutting down the satanic foundation that kept the Assyrian Empire going. That's why God sent Jonah to Nineveh. Okay? So the Assyrian Empire eventually crashed. Now the Assyrians relied on the Babylonians for the empire to function. But the Babylonians, more over down here, they were drained through extortion a lot. So they were kind of upset with the Assyrian population over here. And the reputation of the Assyrians also declined worldwide over time. So eventually, when the Assyrian Empire began to fade, the Babylonians, who were financially linked with the Assyrians, decided to absorb all the assets of the Assyrians. And that's how you eventually got the Babylonian Empire. As you can see, it's the same territory with a few additions here in the north and also to the south here. Now, the Assyrian Empire was known to displace populations, uproot people from their homes. The Babylonians were not really fond of this, but they did it several times, including with the Judeans, twice. You can read it about this in the book of Jeremiah too. But let's go back to Assyria for a moment. When the Heavenly Father delivered Judah from the Assyrians, this was world news. The big tyrant in the world was shut down miraculously when he came against Judah. At that time, yet a king in Babylon, because an empire is a region with multiple nations in it. Each nation has its own autonomy. So in empire, you had kingdoms, and above them, you had the emperor. The king of Assyria was the emperor of the empire. Now, the king of Babylon, who was subjected to the Assyrian rule, he sent an envoy to Judah. And we're about to read about it over here. Let me go to the King James Version. Hold on. Wait. One moment, guys. Just a little bit of error over here that I need to fix. By the way, do any of you have any questions already for what I said till now? Let me know. If you're typing in the live chat and I'm not responding, I'm about to check the live chat from my other computer right now. So I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. But just understand, the victory for King Hezekiah of Judah, it became world news. But King Hezekiah, he made one big error. And that's the error we should not be making. What is the error he made? King Hezekiah, he thought that his victory over Assyria would be celebrated by the rest of the world. Because remember, Assyria relied on extortion. It was a tyranny. A lot of people want Assyria to be gone. So if though to let's say the prophet Isaiah, Assyria began to crash, wouldn't that be something for people to celebrate together? Well, actually it should. But that's not what happened. It's not what happened at all. So let's read now Isaiah 39. At the time, Merodach-Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present to Hezekiah, for he had heard that he had been sick and was recovered. This happens around the same time also. Hezekiah was about to die, and the prophet Isaiah came, told him, "You're about to die." Hezekiah prayed to the Heavenly Father. Then what told Isaiah, "Go back, tell him you get some years for your life." So that happened around the time. Verse 2. And Hezekiah was glad of them. So Hezekiah was happy that the crown prince of Babylon was a tributary nation to Assyria, was looking for its welfare. Verse 2. And he shewed them all the house of his precious things, the silver and the gold and the spices and the precious ointments, and all the house of his armor, and all that was found in his treasures. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah shewed them not. Hold on a minute, hold on. This here is a bit weird. Why is this a bit weird? Just think about it. Your country was under attack. Okay? Due to intervention from the Heavenly Father, your country was rescued. Well, good news. Now, one of the other countries who is still under the jurisdiction of your enemy, because the Assyrian Empire was still there, just couldn't do anything to Judah. One of the people that was subjected to that enemy empire has a crown prince that asks for your welfare. Why is he interested in your welfare? So the news of him being sick was all over the world too. Why now that you recovered, suddenly from all places in the earth, the crown prince of a nation who hates their Syrian overlords wants to message you? And they were still under Syrian rule back then. That is a situation that is suspect. But Hezekiah did not look at the bigger picture. He did not. Hezekiah just went along being naive that the Babylonian ambassadors had his best interest at heart, even though there was no proof that the Babylonian court had his best interest at heart. So in this case, Hezekiah, he assumed that the envoy from Babylon had his best interest at heart. And as a response to this, to what he presumed, he perceived the envoy in Jerusalem as goodwill. As a result of that, he decided, I'm going to show them all my glory. It's not smart to become completely transparent with people who've never shown any proof that they're trustworthy and reliable. And here it comes. When the emperor of Assyria was assaulting Judah, where was Babylon? And why didn't Babylon revolt also when the Assyrian Empire was weakened? When the Assyrian Empire was weakened, it was then that Babylon could have easily overthrown the yoke. Babylon did not even attempt to overthrow the yoke of Assyria, but they wanted to reach out to Judah, who overcame Assyria. So you have the Babylonians who were fed up with Assyrians. You have another nation over there who successfully shook off Assyria. And now the nation who can't stand Assyria, but is still under Assyria, wants to reach out to the nation that just overthrew Assyria. But they're still under Assyria themselves. No. That is one big suspicious situation. Simple as that. There's no other way you can look at it. Unfortunately, as I said before, Hezekiah did not think clearly. No, he did not. Hezekiah acted based on groundless assumption. And listen, believers, also you saints, listen to me. It is quite dangerous to operate on groundless assumption. It truly is. But that's the issue with a lot of people. They do not consider what it is they're doing. They're not. So beware of this. Now let's go to verse 3. Shall we? Okay, here is verse 3. Then came Isaiah the prophet unto King Hezekiah, and said unto him, What said these men, and from whence came they unto thee? And Hezekiah said, They came from a far country unto me, even from Babylon. Then said he, that's Isaiah, What have they seen in thine house? And Hezekiah answered, All that is in my house have they seen. There's nothing among my treasure I have not showed them. He showed the whole wealth of Judah. Now, verse 5. Then said Isaiah to Hezekiah, Hear the word of the Lord of hosts, the God. Behold, the days come. I know what's going on over here. Behold, the days come that all that is in thine house and all and that which is thy fathers have laid up in store until this day shall be carried to Babylon. None shall be left, said the Lord. And of thy sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. Then said Hezekiah to Isaiah, Good is the word of the Lord which thou hast spoken. He said, Moreover, for there shall be peace and truth in my days. Now hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. We have to look at this, because this is quite disturbing. So let's go over it again. Okay? Assyrian Empire. Judah got freed from Assyria. Babylon over here, big country, much bigger than Judah, with more capacity, militarily speaking, did not go against Assyria. Judah here managed to overthrow Assyria miraculously. You can read about it in the book of Isaiah. The Babylonians did not take advantage to get rid of Assyria too. No, they stayed under the yoke. And now they were reaching out to Judah, to the king of Judah. Listen to what I'm saying here, because this is quite important. When someone reaches out to you, it does not always have to mean that they have bad intentions with you. Not everyone out there is coming to take advantage of you and to, do you dirty. That's not true. But what we also need to remember is that when people approach us or come to us, they'll be formal and they'll be polite most of the time, but you need to ask yourself, why? And look at the timing. It is a bit weird that Babylon, who had the ability to get rid of a Assyrian yoke, did not do it, but they want to be involved with someone who did. So the king Hezekiah should realize, okay, why this envoy? What is this? He should have been reserved towards them instead of opening up altogether. Well, let me tell you, some of you, unfortunately, by the way, if this does not apply to you, it does not apply to you. But too many of you are just like Hezekiah. You open up anytime people show themselves at their best behavior. For some of you, it's because of naivety. You don't really think people may do you dirty, or you don't think there may be things behind them that's using them, because sometimes it's not the people that approach you that have bad intentions with you. Sometimes it's the demons that are using them behind the scenes, or sometimes there are other human beings behind the scenes who are using them as a portal to get information about you. That can also be the case. But you don't, with some of you, it's naivety. For others, it's just a form of escapism. You don't want to face things. You think finally people are treating me well, so you go all along with it. Stop it. You need to unlearn this. Whenever people approach you, don't automatically assume they're there to do you dirty. If that's the case with you, you are paranoid and you need help. Seriously. What I'm saying is, when they approach you, look at the timing. For example, let's say you just got married, okay? And you have a cousin who's in who's in an abusive marriage. Okay. When you were not married and you're just dating around, this cousin, she didn't even talk to you. She was too busy. She was just pretend like she had a great marriage. However, things came out that the marriage was horrible. Why is it now that you are happily married, newlywed, that this cousin, this married miserable cousin, suddenly reached out to you? Why? It can be that she wants to warn you for mistakes she made in her marriage. If that's the case, okay. But even then, why didn't she tell you all of this all along while you were engaged in all of that? Look, I'm not telling you to look for demons behind every bush. You always expect some bad motive everywhere. No, absolutely not. Just always pay attention to the timing. Because in this case, King Hezekiah did not do this. And what was the consequence? Well, the Holy Spirit to the prophet Isaiah told him, in the near future, all the glory, all the wealth here of Judah will be looted by the Babylonians, and some of your descendants will be castrated in order to serve the king of Babylon. So the national pride of Judah would be humiliated completely. And this was the result. This was the consequence, no, not result, it was the consequence of Hezekiah's naivety. Because this actually was going on. The Babylonians were thinking, hold on a minute, how come this small nation called Judah, how come this small nation Judah could get rid of Assyrian rule like that? And we, a big nation over here, we have many rivers here. We have big lakes. How come a big nation like us with so many cities, how come we could not have gotten rid of the Assyrians? Now, it was clear that it was the Heavenly Father that delivered the Judeans through a holy angelic being that went out and massacred, I believe, 185,000 men of Syrian military. So a big portion of Syrian military suddenly was dead. But anyway, there were people who may not have believed this. Some may have thought, no. Some didn't want to believe it. Whether they believed it or not, matter of fact was Judah, small Judah over here, got rid of Assyrian rule. And the Babylonians were more in number, with many big cities could not. This is making the Babylonians look bad. All right? So, the breakthrough of Judah made everyone think, hold on a minute. Those Babylonians keep talking bad about the Assyrians, but how come they never made a serious effort to get rid of Assyrian yoke over them? And how come these Israelites in Judah were able to get rid of it? I mean, if they got rid of Assyrian yoke by the God they're worshiping, that means that the God they're worshiping is the real God we all need to serve. God's Babylonians had the God they were worshiping, and they were still complaining. But to admit that the God of Judah is the real God, that means you have to admit all the gods they've been worshiping are all fake. And that's something they don't want to admit. So Judah's breakthrough made Babylon look bad. So the Babylonians took offense at the deliverance of Judah. Now listen to me now. There are people out there that will take offense at your deliverance. Now, I'm not sure if you hear me properly over here. So let me say it one more time, because I want you to get through this, because it's something quite important for you to understand. Listen, I'm looking to the camera now on my iPhone. Listen, there are people out there who take offense, who are upset, who don't take it well that you broke through. I want this to get through to you. They really don't. Maybe you just got married, or maybe start a new business, or maybe you publish a book finally, or you publish your art, or maybe you finally divorced that narcissistic ex-husband of yours. Whatever it is, just know that there are people out there who are taking offense at your breakthrough. So pay attention to the following. If you just had great good news happening to you, and the news spreads around, it's not you who just went on social media telling everyone. Let's say you have a breakthrough, where you got a new job, you were admitted to a new studies, or whatever the good news is. Let's say now the good news spreads around. Pay attention to the following. Who is remaining silent about your breakthrough? If you finally finish your degree after a lot of hinder, maybe you were under attack, or maybe there were health issues, but you couldn't finish your degree. But now you finish your degree finally. But then you notice that it's only on your Facebook page or Instagram. Some people say, congratulations, you finally got your degree. So many other people on the same social media remain silent. Why? Or maybe it's not you getting a degree. Maybe you were on a holiday and you met some celebrity or whatever. Went on a picture with a celebrity, and now this is going viral. And now someone tells you, yo, Rashid, I saw you with this celebrity or with this politician on the picture, man. What's going on? I've heard this and this about you. Then you think, hold on a minute. It's just a fictional example, by the way. I'm going to think, hold on a minute. So you hear things about me and you talk about me, this individual, this public figure. My thing is, who told you? And how come people are talking about it, but not with me about it? Understand this. Anytime you have a breakthrough, the breakthrough will make some folks look bad. Who will make to look bad? Those who are making excuses about their own situation, or those who framed you with the restrictions. People don't like the restrictions being violated. Anytime you don't give influence restrictions, which are called boundaries, people get upset because they rely on the restrictions for their mental stability. So if people frame you with their restrictions, or say boundaries, and you exceed their expectations, you trespass the restrictions they project onto you, they'll be very upset with you about it. And they may ask things like, since when Did you meet this celebrity? Since when did you graduate? Since when did you publish another book? The way they're asking the question, it seems like they're accusing you of doing something wrong. Or it's like they're shocked it happened. It's like they can't just think that it happened. Listen, when you have a breakthrough, when good news happens to you, pay close attention to how the public responds to you, the people around you. Okay? And if people come and they love bombing you with congratulations, don't just open up about it. Okay? Now, let me share the screen again. Okay. That's good. Now, go to Hezekiahs 950. Future Judeans would face violent humiliation because the Babylonians who took offense at Judah's breakthrough. This humiliation caused ill will from the Babylonian population towards Judah. This ill will grew and grew and grew, and several generations later, they acted out their revenge on Judah by attempting genocide on Judah. The reason the genocide failed was because Necho II, a pharaoh from Egypt, intervened and he weakened the Babylonian military. When the Assyrian Empire was fading and Babylon took over, they intended to take out their rage on Judah for the humiliation their great-great-great-grandparents suffered earlier. Even though Judah didn't do anything wrong to Babylon, just Judah breaking through back then made the great-great-grandparents look bad. And now they grew up with this resentment towards Judah, and now they were acting it out. The genocide failed. The only thing they could do was deport big portion of Judeans to Babylon. And that project was a strain on the new Babylonian Empire, which caused it to crash quicker. All right? So yes, they looted Judah. And that was under the Neo-Babylonian Empire that you see right over here. All right? Babylon had some glory indeed, but they were weakened at the very start. Okay? Now, under Nebuchadnezzar II, all right? This was the Babylonian Empire, you see over here. And as you can see, Egypt was still independent, but in quite a weakened state. Yet these kingdoms over here, they were also politically independent, but economically and financially dependent on the Babylonian Empire. And yet the Medians and the Persians having this political joint venture, the Medo-Persian Empire, but it wasn't that strong back then. So the Babylon still ran the world. Under Nebuchadnezzar, as already said, the Heavenly Father appointed Daniel above him with a dream that only Daniel could interpret and all that. But one day, the emperor of Babylon did something quite weird. And we're about to read about it right now. All right? Let me see if there's anything in the live chat. No. I don't see anything in the live chat right now. Let me refresh the page over here. Bit weird, the live chat doesn't seem to work now, like it did yesterday. from the live stream of yesterday, normally the live chat would be added after a few hours, but I still didn't see that one, but okay. Let's read this. Daniel chapter 3. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. So in the capital province, somewhere in the south, he put this massive statue of gold. And 60 cubits in meters is around 27 meters. 27 meters for the 3 centimeters. So just roughly say 28 meters. Okay? And the width thereof was like 2.7, so let's say 3 meters. Of course, a statue of decoration too, so 30 meters tall, up with 3 meters wide. That's kind of how the statue was. Now, we have no idea how the statue looked like. Some envision it to be something like this over here, while others claim it's more something like this. Now, whatever the statue was, it was meant to be seen. Now, let's keep reading. And again, somewhere around here is where the statue was made. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king, remember, he was king of Babylon and emperor of the Babylonian Empire. There were also other kings within that empire who had local autonomy. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors, and captains, and judges, the treasurers, counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up, and he stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then a herald cried aloud, there's someone that's spreading news. To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, bagpipe, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Let's look at this again. Neo-Babylonian Empire. You mean to tell me that people from that means that high-ranking people from the military, from the judicial system, from the courthouses, people involved in law enforcement, local patrols. You mean to tell me all these people and all the nobles from all over the empire, they all had to travel, leave everything behind, come to the capital province over here, just to bow down to some idol that he established? And it's not the common population, because the rulers that represented the people, they were the representatives of the people. So the heralds were saying, oh, people, nations, and languages. So what he was saying is, all you leaders over here from all over the empire, just like you bow down now to this image, you have to go back home, tell everyone this is the new norm over here. So Nebuchadnezzar established a new religious order. And because one thing about the Babylonian Empire was that it was drained a lot earlier by the Assyrians. And now that they were the governing power in the world, they still had a deficit financially. That's why they had a lot of prisoners of war that would become slaves working for them. Babylon had a lot of building projects. And as a result, many people moved to the cities because under the Assyrians, during the Assyrian Empire, most of the people left the cities and went rural. Now the trend was reversed. So Babylon's economy was not strong. It needed a binding factor. And the emperor came with a binding factor, this new deity everyone had to worship. But here's the thing. What if people would not get along with this new religious order? That would weaken the empire even more. And to preserve the financial interests of the ruling elite, the emperor came with a rule. If you don't get along with this new religious order, you'll be murdered publicly for everyone to see. You'll be made into an example for everyone else. Now, before we continue, does this scenario sound familiar to you? Well, actually, it should sound familiar to you because this is how society operates. For society to function, people should value specific idols in that population. It's only when people all go in the same direction of idolatry that society can bring forth the ease that worldlings crave. We shouldn't be craving ease to begin with. We should be living life as Heavenly Father intended. But worldlings were escaping, they crave ease. And for this ease to work, everyone should escape in a similar way. So all society is organized idolatry. Let me repeat it one more time. All of society is organized idolatry. Simple as that. And just like today, when you don't get along with idolatry of society, there are sanctions put on you. Either people ostracize you, you are bonded by the people. That's why you can't get a job. You end up homeless on the streets and dying. Or if they can press charge against you in courthouses and end up going to prison. So you get the idea. When you don't give in to the public escape, the public comes after you. Now, it was not possible for all the millions of people in the Babylonian Empire to come together over there. That's why the emperor called the leaders to come, so they would be served as an example for the rest of the population. Now let's read. Verse 7, therefore at that time, when all the people hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, all kinds of music, all the people, the nation, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore at the time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Judeans. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Okay. Verse 10, thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. Before I continue, haven't you noticed that it's when the music is being played that they're supposed to fall down and worship? Music has an hypnotic effect on people. In this case, it was an actual threat. When you hear the music, get along with it and worship the image. Now, today, when music is played often, the threat is not there, but there are suggestions in the music of what society wants you to do. It's the same thing, but done in a less open way. Now, verse 11. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, that he should be cast in the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Judeans whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. So there were 3 Judean men. They were all 3 administrators in the province of Babylon, the capital province. Why? Because Daniel was the one appointed by the emperor to govern the capital province, but he was too cowardly to to fulfill his role, so he handed over indirectly to those 3 Hebrew young men. Hey, I'm keeping through. Daniel was scooting over here. Now let's continue. And those 3 administrators in the capital province said, we're not doing this. Verse 13, then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. So the rest of those 3 administrators didn't get along. Verse 14, Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do ye not serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? For if ye be ready, that at time that ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, buxet, psaltery, and dulcimer, all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well. But if you worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God shall deliver you out of my hands? Wow. This tyrant, he was something. Who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Well, let me tell you, that is the attitude of society till this day. They want you to be vulnerable without any leverage, so you have no choice but to give in to their restrictions. The moment you give in to the society restrictions, society turns on you, and they want, if they are fed up with you, they want you to be gone. They want you to be able to tell you no, and you have to take their no. Society doesn't want you to have a leverage nor autonomy. Okay. Now what happened next? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. So they were saying, we're going to be very plain. We're not going to play around. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods and worship the golden image thou hast set up. So these men make plain, listen, we're not getting along with this. This goes too far. Even if God decides not to rescue us, we still are not getting along with this abomination over here. Verse 19, then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his features has changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and they were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. So hold on a minute. The moment they did not give in to a restriction, suddenly all hell broke loose, and the public made life hard on them. Let's go verse 22. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent and the furnace exceeded hot, the flames of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound in the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Now get this right. You have this big oven over there that they said, if you don't get along with this new restriction, we will burn your life over there. Now, throwing 3 human beings into that oven would kill them already. But now they want to show how upset they are. They want to show what would happen to you if you don't give in to them. And that's something society always does. When you defy society's restrictions, they come after you, and they want to make it extra clear to everyone else. If you become like this guy, this is what happens to you. So Nebuchadnezzar want to make an example of these 3 Hebrew men. And the process of making things hard on them harms the people, because those officers who arrested them, they died because the flames were too hot. So understand this: when society goes out to persecute and afflict certain people, anyone who participates ends up damaged. Simple as that. Verse 24. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, They will not cause 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered said unto the king, True, O king. He answered said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walk in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the first like the Son of God. So instead of these 3 Hebrew men being burned alive, screaming and dying, they were just playing around, having fun, fellowshipping within the fire. And there was someone else with them, and Nebuchadnezzar didn't know who that was. Verse 26. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake, and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. And all the princes, governors, captains, so all the people together, saw these men whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair on their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. So there was no damage on the men whatsoever. Verse 28. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel, and delivered his servants that trust in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any other God except their own God. Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their house shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God can live after this sort. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Now, this pattern over here is a common pattern. Now, in this case, when it was clear that the violence of society could not harm these 3 men, they had no choice but to give up. But let's translate this to today. With you, it may be that the burning oven is not a literal burning oven, likely not. Maybe it's being unemployed. Maybe it is people abandoning you, ghosting you, trying to get you to feel lonely. Maybe it is you being blacklisted or shadow banned. Or maybe it's you being thrown into an actual prison or whatever with false charges. Whatever it is, anytime you don't concede to society restrictions, the public will demand revenge on you. When the public's revenge is overruled by the resurrection power of Christ in you, 2 things can happen. Either what just happened over here in ancient times, the public bends over and just complies willingly with you, or what can also happen is what happened with Moses and ancient Egypt, which was that they kept resisting and fighting, and the fight and resistance was at their own expense, and eventually they had to work with the Israelites at their own expense completely. So either people will calm down and admit that, okay, we need to change, and they collaborate with you as they should, or they end up resisting you, and eventually they have to concede whether they want or not in a painful way. Understand the following: we should get along with people in the world as far as we can. We're not troublemakers, and we're not looking for fights. However, when things become dangerous, we have to say, this goes too far. This is way out of line. There is no way we can justify this. We're not part of this. We should be able to do that. But no, the moment you do that, there will be retaliation. You hear me? And Jesus even said that there will be persecution against you when you do my will. Are you willing to endure and overcome? That is the real question. So, in this case, the people had to see that they're not God, they're not in charge. God is. A lot of people today think they're God. It's my house. I pay rent over here. It's my car. Get out of my effing car. Screaming all of that. Hey, it's, or when they have children, think they own their children. Or maybe they have a position at work and they think, hey, I can fire you anytime. Or maybe they are a real estate officer or real estate agent. I refuse to call them landlords and say, hey, if you, I can kick you out. I need they people tend to think that just because they have a leverage, now they're God and they can will whatever they will. Or someone does not give in to their restrictions and now say, oh, I don't like you. And now the other individual owes them to get out of their sight because they don't like them. Human beings in this fallen state tend to go quite far with their escapism. And from time to time, publicly, these people need to be reminded that God is in charge. He owns everything. We own nothing. We only have possessions during his lifetime. We have no ownership because he's the owner of us all. He owns everything. He owns heaven, earth, and all who are alive, including me and you. And you know what, believer? It's time for the world to start experiencing that Christ is in charge. Because as long as we as believers are just conceding to toxic restrictions over and over again, and we allow ourselves to be violated just to keep everyone else at ease, as long as that continues, no change for the better will happen. Change for the better will only happen when these worldlings, the hard way, experience that Christ is in charge. The no they gave to you was never theirs to give. The no they gave to you, the rejection they gave you was never theirs to give. The moment they realize that they have nothing to will, nothing to want, nothing to like or dislike, nothing to ask for, the moment they realize that they have nothing to ask for, nothing to like or dislike, and nothing to will, but it's God's in charge, that's the moment you realize things will improve for you. Whether people comply willingly, like happened here in Daniel chapter 3, or whether they comply out of necessity, they don't really want to, but they have no choice but to, they will comply. We have to enforce this on the earth. Instead of being so polite all the time to people who couldn't care less whether you live or die tomorrow. Society operates in violence, all they have. Society only has restrictions that they protect with revenge. Revenge in the form of violence. We who serve the Heavenly Father, we have the real power in us. So why aren't we using that real power to get ahead? It is because some of us are so invested in this world, and that needs to stop. All right? God is not a respecter of persons. So that means he doesn't give in to violent consequences. Look, society is organized idolatry, which implies organized revenge for those who don't get along with idolatry. That's how it is. And if you end up damaged by their idolatry, they expect you to shut your mouth and act like nothing happened so they don't have to face themselves. So believers, understand, you will get threats and retaliation against you. So be ahead of it by fully operating in agreement with Christ and utilize the power that Heavenly Father has given to you. Amen? Let's see. There's still no live chat, but anyway, if you have questions, leave them in the comment section later on. Thank you all for being here. Keep on with Christ, and I'll see you in the next live stream. Shalom.